What's up, everybody? Brett Mix here, Macho Wrestling 101. We're here for the WCW side of the 18th week in the Monday Night Wars where they went at it. It's the 20th Nitro, but it's the 18th week where they went at it head-to-head because for 2 weeks, Raw wasn't on. Not the last 2 weeks, but 2 weeks in totality, the last 20 weeks. But this is the 18th week they've gone head-to-head, and this is the 20th episode of Nitro, as I mentioned. Won't make you wait for the ratings because Nitro drew an outstanding 3.5, which was good enough for Nitro to beat WWF, who came in with a 2.4. Nitro now, all-time through 18 weeks, has 8 wins to 8 losses and 2 draws against Raw. Again, they are tied with 8 wins and 8 losses, as Nitro and Raw have both the same amount of wins through 18 weeks. They both have won 8 times, and they've drawn twice. This is the highest rated Raw, this is the highest rated Nitro in history. This week, the week 18 of the Monday Night Wars, this is the Nitro that drew a 3.5, the highest rating ever. It was commentated to this point. It was commentated by Steve McMichael, Eric Bischoff, and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Nitro begins with Bischoff talking about the night, Sting and Flair for the world title, Savage and Luger kick things off. Anyway, let's go to the ring and kick things off from Miami, Florida, the Omni, or the Night Center, rather, in Miami, Florida. Live on TNT, Macho Man Randy Savage versus Lex Luger. They say Luger has 3 wins over Savage. Savage gets to face the world title next week on January the 22nd, but this week is January 15th, 96, and Macho was hurt, says Heenan. He's got his left arm taped up. Savage and Luger go at it. Savage thrown to the outside. Luger slams Macho Man into the steps. Luger then poses for the camera while he knocks Macho Man off the apron. Macho Man comes back in the ring, and Luger dragged to the outside. Savage, who hits him into the guardrail, and Lex has his face pushed into the steps. Bischoff loves it as Macho Man comes off the top and you get a near fall. Savage's arm looked taped up and bad, and Luger is so powerful, so he turned it on the Macho Man. Luger choked him out of the corner and beat on his bad arm. Savage drops Luger got Savage with an elbow to the throat on the outside apron. McMichael on commentary tells fans to throw their remotes out of the window to stay with Nitro, and I'm sure they did. They drew a 3.5 after all, and they beat Raw by over a 1.1 victory to be exact, as Nitro did 3.5 and Raw did 2.4. Again, this match went up against Owen Hart versus Marty Jannetty for reference on the Raw side. Luger kicks Savage into the corner. Macho Man drops Luger onto the ropes. Savage goes up top for the elbow, misses. Luger then spots him and slaps on the torture rack. Savage took a while, but he tapped out to the torture rack at 5:10. Good quick match here. Savage really puts Luger over and the move at the torture rack. He doesn't need the win because Savage is injured and the number 1 contender. So Luger keeps hot while Savage doesn't lose that much in the loss. 2 stars and a quarter I rated the opener between Savage and Luger. The Horsemen come to the ring, as do the Dungeon of Doom. It was supposed to be a tag team match. Arn Anderson says this is a business meeting, a meeting of the minds. Sullivan says, Flair, you're probably the greatest champion of all time, as the crowd cheer. Sullivan says that Arn is underrated, but he says, Pillman, this punk has no respect for anyone. Pillman then went wild on the microphone talking about how he's a horseman. Then Arn Anderson slapped Pillman in the face as if to say, that's enough, Pillman. Mean Gene says, I don't know what the devil is going on now. That's an old saying, what in the devil? Cary Grant used to say that back in Hitchcock movies. I can see why the show was rated high, though. Already 2 established main eventers, Luger and Savage, plus the Dungeon of Doom and the Horsemen in the ring. A lot of action going on. They both stables, and they cut an intriguing promo. Next up, we have a tag team match between the Public Enemy making their debut, Rocco Rock and Johnny Grunge. There was ECW chants in the arena against the All-American males, Marcus Alexander Bagwell and Scotty Riggs. A double back body drop by the Public Enemy to the outside. They yell, this is where the big boys play. A crossbody to Bagwell by both Public Enemy, and then there's a drop kick. The Enemy in action as ECW is chanted. Scotty Riggs reverses Irish whip into the head scissors. Enemy went and slammed him back to the canvas floor. Back body drop by Grunge. Rocco Rock in and he cleans house. Bagwell cornered back. The Grunge holds up. Rocco Rock of the Johnny Grunge's partner of the Public Enemy clobbers his back with a roll-up. Grunge, who had a handful of tights. They get the win at 3:26 to Public Enemy after Grunge had the handful of tights after Rocco Rock eliminated his competition right near him. I rated that tag team match 3 stars of a quarter. So Public Enemy gets the win at 328. Public Enemy then took up a double-decker as they planted 2 tables by the corner. And then off the turnbuckle, he hit a somersault plancha, did Rocco Rock through Marcus Alexander Bagwell. Awesome spot. Ric Flair then defended the world title against Sting. Jimmy Hart's in Ric Flair's corner for the WCW Championship, and it's still not even the main event. So this Nitro, it had Savage and Luger at the beginning, Sting and Flair in the middle, and then Hogan at the end. You can see why it drew 3.5. Because fans of WWF will be like, oh, there's all their old guys there. And they're on every quarter segment. There's no, not that it would be a bad thing, but there's no Guerreros or Benoits or anybody on this show. They just have the established names. And I'm not saying Benoit Guerrero would turn fans away, but at the time in WCW, the fans really associated with who they knew. They didn't know Benoit Guerrero back then. They knew Savage, Sting, Luger, Hogan, and that's who was primarily shown on this Nitro. Rick down the mat, choked up by Sting. He does his usual no, and then he flip-flops like a fish when he goes to the mat after a military press by Sting. Flair then gets in full control. He sets a standing suplex, but Sting lands on his feet. Sting with buckle is turned into the turnbuckle. Jimmy Hart is called the mouth of the South, but Bischoff calls him the maggot of the South. Sting is Irish whipped to the corner, but Flair chops him down. Sting comes out of the corner with a hard charge and a clothesline. Sting then up first right, and Ric Flair reverse Irish whipped into a standing headlock by Sting. Flair then attacks the leg and goes for the figure 4, but then Sting reverses it into an inside cradle, only gets a 2. Fast exchanges here. Backslide attempt by Sting, but just a 2. Flair throws Sting over the ring, and then a sunset flip attempted, but Irish whip and elbows by the Stinger. Flair then outside the top turnbuckle. Sting catches him up there and throws him down kidney first to the canvas floor. Flair begged while Sting posed and smiled through all of the chops. Sting then caught Flair with a military press and hard shots up top attempted. Sting then flew Flair into the corner for the Stinger splash. Luger on the outside came to the ring and hit Sting with a megaphone. That was shocking, hitting his own friend with a megaphone. Then Jimmy Hart wanted Luger to do more, but Luger kept yelling, "That's my best friend," about Sting, even though he just hit him with the megaphone. Flair slaps a figure 4 on Sting. The ref said the winner is Ric Flair by submission. So Flair retains the title at 12 minutes even after Luger cost Sting the match, 2 stars and 3/4. Sting needs to know he can't trust Luger now, and that's what the Mega Powers, Savage and Hogan, keep telling him. Now that Savage said, "I knew it from day one. You can't trust Luger, man." And Hogan says, "Brother, I've been telling you, you can't do it, dude." So Hogan and Savage tell Sting that he can't trust his best friend, and Sting said, "I'm going to go to the horse's mouth and find out what happened." So he's going to go to Luger. He called Luger a horse. He kind of looks like a horse. So he says, "I'm going to go to the horse's mouth." So Sting went to the back to ask Luger if he actually cost him the world title, which he did, but we didn't get to see that. So that's going to be shown next week, apparently. Hogan got ready for his main event match with Meng. Meng had the Taskmaster by his side. Hulk Hogan got chopped a lot of trapezius holds by Meng. Hulk then takes it to him, hulks up ultimately, and gets the victory at 4:41 with the leg drop. I rated it a 1.25 stars. Show ends with Macho Man coming to Hogan's aid as usual after the match as a Sullivan, and Meng tried to attack him. Savage cleared house, so Savage and Hogan hotter with momentum. And both of them are on the same page here. They looked like they weren't on the same page when they talked in the promo earlier, where they were convincing Sting that Luger wasn't their best friend. Hogan and Savage fought over who should be number 1 contender. On the mic, they fought. This segment with Hogan and Meng, the match that I gave a 1.25 stars. They had the promo after. This went up against Isaac Yankem and The Undertaker in the same slot. Last week I rated WCW Nitro a 7 out of 10. This week with the high rating, 3.5 in the ratings, I rated a 7.5 out of 10 as there was quality all throughout the show. So tune in for next week's Nitro review. It'll be week 19 of the Wars. This was week 18. Again, they beat Nitro beat Raw 3.5 to 2.4. And then had Hogan, had Luger beat Savage, Sting beat Flair, Public Enemy beat the All-American Males, and Hogan defeated Meng. With Hogan and Savage on the same page, Sting and Luger, well, we'll have to wait to see if they're on the same page. Next week on the 19th week of the Wars. This is the 18th week of the Wars. I'm Brett Mix. Thanks for watching, and I'm out.